Okay, this video um, is going to be called something along the lines of Consciousness is an Optical Illusion. Magic, Creation through Deception, Suggestion and Belief. So, the kind of theme is going to be that things are not as they appear. And actually, this is going to be a very important video. I really suggest that you actually stick this one out and try and watch the whole thing, because if you actually are open-minded, you listen to everything that I say, this could really change the way you see reality. It could be a complete paradigm shift. um, this is not an easy topic to understand, but to begin with, I'm gonna put a few clips. I think I'm gonna put a few different maybe images, some like short clips, maybe like a few like 1 to 2 minute videos of like a show or something like that. But essentially, I'm gonna just do maybe a 5 to 10 minute little montage, kind of giving you trying to show you what I'm about to speak about, rather than obviously I'm going to tell you in the video, but I also want to do a few visual, because we're visual creatures. So through these kind of optical illusions and things that I'm gonna put on the screen now, you can skip it if you want, but I would recommend you watch that as well, because the things that I'm going to be speaking about later are going to make a lot more sense when you kind of look back at those and then realize, kind of put the things together and realize kind of what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to put in these clips now, and then I'll carry on speaking after.
Like you forgot, once again, how powerful you are.
Huh? You're early. What is this place? The end, but also a beginning. Isn't every end a beginning? Stay back! I don't want your stripped down Sundance sci-fi bullshit! Where's Jessica? Jessica. That was her name, wasn't it? Thank you, Morty. I had forgotten. Oh, right. You'll be needing this. For the wine. Oh, shit! We got him! Can you believe he won that fucking tree bullshit? We fucking got him!
Yeah, so I just recorded this after I've recorded the whole video, but I was just kind of looking through all the little clips that I was going to put at the beginning there to kind of illustrate what I'm trying to like talk about. I basically want you to. So some of them are kind of like showing basically the power, essentially just the whole thing of suggestion and belief. So some of them you're gonna see like with like, for example, the running and jumping man, or like the circles and so on. See, that's gonna kind of show to you that, oh, actually, it's gonna show to you how much your mind is basically projecting reality. What you think is already there is actually a projection or overlay that your mind is doing. So some of those are gonna like show that, and then there's gonna be some other ones which you might not really understand what I'm trying to show. But like, for example, like the fractal zoom, or like, I don't know, there was one, I'm not too sure if I'll put it in there, but there was one like some random video I saw on Instagram where it's like kind of zooming. Then there's this lady saying something like, "Oh, you forgot how powerful you are," or whatever. You don't have to take all that too serious, but even just seeing like how it zooms in, and then like the like, obviously it's like AI and so on, but like you see kind of how the AI is like what is like, and then you're seeing some pyramids in the background and this and that, and like it's kind of like shape shifting. So what I want you to kind of see the essence of these clips and stuff that I'm kind of showing to you. I want to basically show to you how elusive appearances can be, and how like it can basically, how it like the power that it has to basically deceive you, especially at the higher levels of like shape shifting. Like when it can really shape shift into any kind of form, like how some of them fractals are, like we're zooming in and it looks like you're going through heaven, and it looks like you're like going through here, this space part, you know what I'm saying? And it looks like you're progressing, but really it's just a 0 point, and then it's the things that's going around it, and in reference to that, it gives it that look of like of fluidity and movement and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I just want you to kind of focus on that kind of stuff. Hopefully you see what I'm saying. But as I said, after this, you're going to hear me explain it all properly. But I just wanted to do this last little point and interject that. Yeah, and there was even one Rick and Morty clip, or I think, yeah, 2 clips that I put in there as well. I think that was also perfect as well, because it goes to show you, like, even like they was there like running everything, it seems congruent, like it seemed like they'd already escaped the matrix, but then they was in the matrix inside the matrix. They was in a simulation inside the simulation. See, how do you know that you're not in a simulation? See, that's what I'm showing to you. Like, you actually can't escape your own consciousness and check, because everything you see will be within consciousness. So see, that's the trick. Like, it's the trick of sovereignty. And because you're absolute, because you have infinite capacity for imagination, and this is kind of why, so I should have maybe explained this later on in the video. You're going to see this earlier on, but yeah, this is why, in a sense, like in the relative plane, like imagination, like reality and imagination is basically, there's no difference. Like reality is imaginary, basically. And you're gonna see how I explain all of that right after this. But yeah, I just wanted to make those 2 interjections. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed those, and maybe kind of understood a little hint of what I'm gonna kind of be expressing here. I've wrote a few notes, so I am gonna freestyle as usual a little bit, but this one's gonna be a bit more structured. Feel like this one might be a longer video, so as I said, I hope you stick it out to the end, because this one will be very valuable. But yeah, I've got to start from the beginning. So essentially, if you've watched my other core videos, I say this in pretty much every video, but if you haven't watched those, I would recommend you watch my first 3 videos at least, about absolute and relative truths, because that's the core that everything's being built upon. And you kind of have to understand those things to understand what I'm going to say now. However, once we understand that God, or truth, or the absolute, once we understand that the absolute is absolute, and it is all powerful, and in a sense it does control everything, because everything is within its domain. What you have to understand, though, is that the dualities of order and control, or order and chaos, and control and lack of control. Like those 2 kind of dualities, these are already relative splits. So we can't really say that. That like God does have control, but he only controls this side. He controls these aspects of reality, but not these ones. That's like the devil or something, or that's just like humans. And like, see, how can I put this? Like, you have to realize God has absolute control. There's not like, he controls these things. Like, if you're gonna say he has control, he has absolute control. He created everything. He controls everything. He can see everything. Obviously, it's not a person, but just so to speak, like it can see everything. It created everything. It's conscious of everything. It's everything. It has absolute control, right? But as I've prior explained, infinity is the same as zero. Like, really, it's very difficult because, see, sometimes, as I said in one of my past videos, I have to explain kind of from the absolute level and from the relative level. See, really, the conclusions that you as a person in this world care about are going to be the conclusions from the dualistic relative plane. However, these are all being deciphered from the absolute truth. However, when I speak about the absolute truth, it's not going to be coherent with this dream, because this dream is inverted. And that's something I'm going to explain later on in this video. So that's why it's tricky. Sometimes it might sound like I'm contradicting myself, but see, on the absolute level, everything is everything and nothing is nothing. So you can't say everything is nothing. No, everything is everything and nothing is nothing. And actually, because nothing is nothing, that's why everything is everything. There has to be everything instead of nothing, because nothing really is nothing. So, but in that sense, in the relative plane, even in the relative plane, the normal level person won't say that everything is nothing. But actually, at the highest, they're like stuck within the dream in the lowest level. They're in the dream and in the lowest levels. But as you rise to the highest levels of the dream, actually everything and nothing are the same thing. Even though that's still within the dream, and in the absolute, which is outside the dream, everything is everything and nothing is nothing, and they're not actually the same thing. But at the highest peak of the dream, actually everything is nothing. There's actually no difference between those, because it's just two sides of the same coin. Is neither nor, if you get what I'm saying. So at the same time, because it's neither, it's kind of both at the same time. Another, as I explained many times with the cross, and if you actually take all the pluses, like all the positives and all the negatives, you can expand out infinitely far. But if you actually realize it can go up infinitely far and down infinitely far, it will actually cancel out to zero, because the right and the left cancel each other out. The up and the down cancel each other out. That's why I keep on speaking about the 0, 0, and how zero is just infinity. Like, infinity is just zero expanded in a sense, but it's always equivalent to zero. That's why, like, creation is actually impossible. You could, like, anything times 0 is 0, right? But this whole tangent goes to say that because God has absolute control, the only way it can have absolute control is actually to have his hands off the wheel and have no control. See, and then this is where, like, because you have to realize all the dualities are split and precipitate down on the lower planes, which is where we are, like, as subjective entities, like at the effect of those. But at the peak, these dualities like unify again, because there's two dualities because they were split from one to begin with. So because you have to realize, because God is infinite, like, you think, and that's why I'm saying it can't control just only like particular things, or say God controls this side, not this side. You can't say that, because Like if let's say God's only controlling this side, then it's not controlling this side, right? So then that's incomplete. It's only controlling this, not this. That's incomplete, right? So it's just either God controls everything or it controls nothing. It can't be like in the middle somewhere. It's either everything or nothing. And actually, those are the same thing. The only way you can control everything is by not controlling anything and allowing everything to be as it is already. Because imagine let's say it controls 50% and the other 50% it doesn't control. See, that's incomplete. Even if you say it controls this 1%, that's 99% it's not controlling. Even if it controls 99.9%, there's 0.1% it's not controlling. So first of all, where you allocate what it's gonna control, that's like that already breaks down like from there. So literally, this just really has to like click for you. You have to realize, oh, to control that, if you actually controlled everything, that would mean that you control nothing. You can't control, because everything is nothing. In the end, that's why. Because everything is nothing. So if you actually like control everything, see, really, everything is nothing. But then the world we live in, the dualistic world within divisions and splits and limitations and forms, see, that's the game of survival. That's where like you can control this section and you're surviving against the world. It's you versus the world, life versus death. Like, and then you can only control this, like this amount. See, really, like control has to always like be particular. Like you're controlling this thing in particular, or you're controlling that thing in particular, but then it's always limited, a limited sense of control. So humans have a limited sense of control. Like animals have a limited sense of control. Everything has a limited sense of control to lower and higher degrees on the scale. Remember, everything in the relative plane is on a scale because it's kind of like being measured against the two absolute like poles, even though both sides are not absolute, but they're kind of the absolute dualities, like as far as the epitome of those dualities, even though both of those dualities are being split from the absolute. You can't have absolute dualities really, because the dualities are co-defined and like arising and codependently like divided against each other. So yeah, essentially, sorry, I had to really explain this first point, but because God has absolute control, which means it has no control, and it allows everything to be as it would be, undisturbed or uncontrolled. In a sense, as I said, it has no control, so it allows it to be how it is. And in that sense, it's the most true way as well, because it's not even being. See, it's not artificial at all. That's really what natural means. Natural means that no one's doing it, and it just happens that way by itself. Like no one is making the seasons happen. Like we say, like AI is artificial, like this things are AI because like we specifically engineered it to be that way. Like AI didn't just come out of the sky, like just come out of the dirt and like evolve into a form. Like no, like we specifically designed it that way. That's what it means to be artificial. To be natural, it means that it happened that way by itself. No one did it. It just naturally is true that way. So that's kind of how God allows it to be. He literally does nothing, but because it's always synchronized, see, and then you would think that it would go into pure chaos, and in a sense it is, but because it's always anchored in itself and it always is itself, no matter how far it deviates, it's always in a state of like equilibrium and balance in the macro sense. So it could look like for a particular period of time from that viewpoint, it could look like a hellscape. but then like that viewpoint would also perish after a while, or what I'm saying, the conditions could change and then it won't look the same. So nature, or the world in a sense, is kind of like the thin line between order and chaos. It's actually just like you can't say it's not completely like it's not completely like, this wasn't all by design. It wasn't like complete architecture, like deciding everything to the micro detail. Neither is it complete like random chaos just happened to be like this. Like, it's neither of those. It's neither of those extremes. It's actually the exact thin line. It's like the exact thin line between very deliberate order and then kind of like random, like chaos, any kind of way that it could have been. So it's literally like the thin line between those. However, the whole point, what I'm saying is that actually, because God has absolute control and it has no control, and it allows everything to be as it is, this actually, and you might think is wrong, or that it shouldn't be this way, but actually it allows certain forces, which you could call demons or whatever you want to call, but it allows certain forces to gain a monopoly of power temporarily. However, see, this is where fractal nature comes in. Holons, scale, and fractals, as I've explained many times in my past videos, how there's everything is a part and a whole at the same time. Like, this human body is like, this human body is a whole human body, and it's made of parts. And this, like, for example, one of the parts is this arm, and that arm is a whole arm, and it's also made of parts, like that part and that part, and like my hand, and my hand is a whole, but it's also made of parts. You know what I'm saying? And those parts are a whole part, which are also made of smaller parts. And you can actually zoom in and zoom out forever. And you could go on YouTube and type in Mandelbrot fractals, and you can just watch it, and it will just zoom in forever. Zoom, and it looks like you're getting somewhere. It looks like you're getting somewhere and progressing, but you're actually in the same spot. Actually, it's just a 0 point, and that's why all these videos, they all have a point in the center, and that's why I say everything is created out of the 0 point, because actually it's just the appearances are happening, revolving around that point, and it seems like the point is progressing, but actually it's like a treadmill. Like, actually the world is moving around you, and it seems like it seems like the world is stagnant and you're moving, but actually you're stagnant and the world is moving around you. So anyway, because God actually because it has absolute control, and it lets its hands off the wheel, and it knows in the absolute sense, because it always will be itself, and no matter how much it seems to deviate, it will always be in order and balance to itself. Because it knows that, like in an eternal scope, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really care about minor deviations where it may appear to lose balance for like 1,000 years. See, like, because we're humans and we only live 100 years, if something's like out of balance for 1,000,000 years, that seems like eternity. That seems like forever. Like, the devil is just controlled over us. Like, he's been controlling forever. But actually, no, like, it's always going to be in a limited time. That's the limitation of the lower plane. Like actually, there's no such thing as like an eternal like villain or eternal like devil. That's all like that, and that's. See, I was gonna explain this as well. That's kind of what leads to these ages, like the dark age, and then the golden age, and then you see all these peaks and valley, and then the good versus evil, and then see there's always good at the beginning, then the evil takes over, and then it looks like they're gonna like take over forever, but then actually the good side comes back, and see it's always like rebalanced. It like when you're in that valley, it seems like that valley will last forever. It seems like they have like eternal monopoly. The demons are controlling everything. They've degraded and corrupted everything, and they're gonna have an eternal monopoly over the whole like dreamscape. But actually, no, it's only gonna be like that temporarily. And then yes, perhaps they may come back again later or something. But like actually, there's no such thing as like eternal evil or something like that. But anyway, so see, even though it's not like they're always going to be limited in the eternal sense, to us as human beings, like when we're actually speaking about us, like as a human being who's incarnated and who's looking out and is subject to these external forces, see, really you are the self. Really you are the self and you're absolute. And all this stuff is happening within you. But you have a reference point, an anchor point, which is your micro self, which is this body right now. And you're identified with this body. And you could almost think of it as like these like three circles, yeah, where you could say, like, for example, that outer circle is actually the real you. And then like this circle in the middle is kind of like, the devil or like the demons or the evil forces or the archons or whatever. But essentially these four, see, which are smaller than the macro absolute self, so they can't really affect the macro self. But then see, this point is actually the ego or your human self that you've incarnated into. And even really you're this, but your reference point and where you're identifying with is this. And from this point, you're subject to these things when really you're larger than those things, are more powerful. But because as long as you identify with your smaller macro sense, then these larger forces are actually stronger than you and are actually imposing their self upon you, and you're subject to that. So see, that's kind of like the dynamic where within the dream, actually, yes, there's infinite layers of the dream and infinite hold-ons, and we as humans act as if we're like at the top of the food chain, and it seems like that. But have you even thought of like if there's other like beings which maybe are so highly developed that you can't even perceive them, and they're above us, manipulating us through ways that we can't even understand or perceive unless you're really high level? Like, have you even thought of that? Have you even thought that you might be being manipulated through spiritual means, like through inception, like through whispers in your ear, like twisting that one thought that you thought the idea that you thought you had, that was you know what I'm saying, or like that appearance that seemed to be an appearance of God, but actually that was the devil in disguise. All of these things, like, see, but we as humans, we're ignorant because we think we're at the top of the food chain. We think we understand everything. We think all like the things, like we're the ultimate predator and everything's below us, so we drop our guard. But actually, there's higher, and it is true that we're very high level. So that should make you suspicious and make you think, wait, so that means that if there's a predator above me, that must mean they're even more like developed. Well, not necessarily, like a predator doesn't really have to be more developed than the prey, but it has to, in a sense, be more powerful. Like the predator has to actually be more powerful than the prey. That's just the way the law of nature works. So even if you're actually, like, you could be a more conscious being, like you could be more enlightened, but there could still be some, like, obviously I'm not saying this is necessarily how it exactly absolutely is, but there could still be some higher, like less density being, like a spiritual vampire or like a spiritual mosquito or something that's like, you know what I'm saying, usurping and stealing your energy by means that you're not even aware of. It could be trapping you in ways that you're not even aware of. Like imagine you trapping like some little like an animal or something like that, and like how easy it is to manipulate a child and like trap a child or like send them the wrong way or this. Like imagine actually now, yeah, like so imagine like children are like 10 XP points, and like I don't know, like some animals are like 10 or 15 XP points or 5 XP points, and a grown adult is like 50 XP points. Now imagine like some next invisible fucking being that's like 200 XP points. I'm not saying it's God or above God, but it's above you in reference as a human. See, when you're referencing as a human, you could even say, oh, it's the devil, it's the demon. Like, it doesn't even matter if it's the devil. It could be someone way lower than the devil. But all that really matters is anyone above you in reference is going to seem like God or the devil or some almighty power. It doesn't even need to be almighty power. In fact, for it to even have any influence, anything that has an influence within this dream is limited. Remember, the absolute has no control at all. So anything that has influence in this dream actually has to be limited. However, it can still have a larger sphere of influence upon the dream than you in reference as a human. Right? So you have to imagine, like, I'm not even saying it's the devil, but imagine there's actually higher order beings above you that you may not even have the consciousness to perceive, that are influencing you, that are preying upon you. Right. And yeah, so that's why in my first videos I kind of said that in a sense the relative plane is controlled by the devil. But not absolutely, only relatively. See, because the devil is not absolute, it's relative by nature. It's already a schism of the absolute. Its existence already depends upon the absolute. So like God, or the self itself is itself, even if there's no others. But others, actually, it may seem like, oh, there can be others without me, but actually no, others are dependent upon the self. If there's no self, then there's no others. If there is no self, there are no others. However, there can be the self without others. And see, right now you're so conditioned in the inverted way that you think, no, for myself to be there, there has to be others that created me. And there can be others without me. But actually, no. There are no others. If there's no you, if there's no self, like, actually just check your consciousness right now. Like, just check right now and realize if you didn't exist, nothing would exist. And then you're going to say, no, like, it would exist, like, physically out there, like, behind the curtains. Like, but have you ever seen behind the curtains? Or is that always an idea? Like, one step ahead? Or like behind the curtains, like, where's the curtain? Where's the curtain? See, there's no curtain. You're seeing everything right now, right before your eyes. Alright, cool. Yeah, so essentially, the whole point why I was saying that is that, yes, because God did want to incarnate into a particular form, and because it's hands off the wheel, see, it's in a sense, it created this imaginary other force, this opposite force to itself, which you could say is the devil or something, which is, in a sense, it's just itself just inverted. It's just an inversion, a complete flip of itself. So the self is complete, therefore the essence of the devil or the other is incomplete. This is absolutely true, so that's like relatively false. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the absolute, truth is true, existence exists, black is black. So in the relative, you know what I'm saying? Existence is non-existent, black is white. You know what I'm saying? And then, see, people even say that, people say black and white is the same, and it's just like a scale is just the same color, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? And gray is, and really it's just gray, and white and black are just extremes of like gray. That's why I see the matrix is basically just that gray area. That's what it is. It's like you get the one thing was certain, you split it into two poles, and then you make it oscillate in between as an uncertainty, as a potentiality, and then the world, it kind of like creates a form. Then like it kind of oscillating, and then one day it's like this, and then another day it's like that, and then it's like oscillating between these. That's literally how these forms kind of get created, or seem to like get created. But see, my whole point is that, in a sense, God created this imaginary other, and it gave it this almost like ultimate power, just inverted, to trap itself. Like God basically, as I said, gave the devil this mission to trap it, so that it could experience limitation. Like the devil's role is to limit God, so that God can experience limitation, because it's already unlimited. So in a sense, it kind of knows everything, it's seen everything, and it gets bored of that at a certain point. And it wants to experience a surprise. It wants to experience something new. And you have to be limited. Like for you to see something new, you have to be in a limited form, which has just been born and hasn't seen that thing yet. You can't be an infinite, all-knowing conscious being that's always existed. Like you can't get surprised. Like if you know everything, you know what I'm saying? You can't like enjoy a new experience or something like that. Like actually realize that even dopamine in life, like an enjoyment, like actually realize how much enjoyment is linked to like new experiences. Obviously you don't want to always, like if you know you really enjoy something, then you might loop back to that, but still every single time you experience that thing, like if you really enjoy drinking, or you really enjoy sports, or you really enjoy socializing, like every conversation you have is a new conversation, even if it's with the same person, even if it's in the same room, it's a new conversation. You can't have the same conversation twice. So literally the whole enjoyment of reality, and that's why, as I said, it seems like there's time. Actually, we're in eternity, but it seems like it's progressing, because there's infinite like frames, and it's always like unfolding, but then there's always infinite more. And that's actually what God wants. It wants infinite more newness, new. Like it loves it. It wants more. It wants new stuff. Like it just keeps on like, it's a bit, in a sense, it's entertainment. Like God's diet is entertainment, and it needs new stuff, like to stimulate it. You know what I'm saying? And so you could say, in a sense, it created that on purpose, or you could say, in a sense, that it actually didn't even create that on purpose, and just that it was hands off the wheel, and then it allowed the demons to be demonic as they are, and then they took over and took the monopoly and imprisoned God, if you get what I'm saying. So you could either say God like wanted that to happen, or like, but see, in a sense, either way, it doesn't really matter which way it happened. But in a sense, it's kind of given this, like, because it's unlimited, it has the epitome of that, of limitation, but the highest, strongest form of limitation, which in a sense is like a box. Like it's basically trying to put infinity in a box, but infinity or consciousness can never be in a box, but like it can appear to be temporarily, and that's life. So like you appear to be in this human body, and then you're gonna die and pop out again, and then you could appear to be in this form and then pop out again. Like you're actually, like your nature is to escape, but like the antithesis. This is why sometimes it seems like the world is against you, the universe is against you, because actually it's like everything is doing is to trick you into thinking that you're a human alive on Earth right now. Like literally everything you see, like those humans, you think that human really has their own life. You think that animal is real, and like when you're not looking at it, it's still there, like living its own life. And you think that, like when you see that thing on the news in that other country, you think that other country, it really exists behind the curtain over there. You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff, like before I was born, like 1,000 years ago, things were still happening. But those are all appearances appearing to you right here now. See, this is where this is where it gets to the essence of the video, because the essence really is that things are not how they appear to be. And in fact, appearances, like if something, like in the relative, see, All right, cool. Let me explain to you. So, since you are the self, you are the absolute self, right? And everything is everything already. You're here in eternity. Everything is already everything. Realize that you didn't need to create this. Now, don't make the false assumption that, oh, that means someone else created it. No. Realize this is uncreated. Actually, check right now and realize everything here is uncreated. Yet it's still here. Okay? So, you are the self. You are the absolute self. Everything is already everything. Right? Nothing needed to be created. In fact, it's impossible to create anything. How could you create for you to create something? There has to be something uncreated. Like there has to be a potential for something to be created. But realize that infinite potential has already been filled. Like it's already actualized. Everything that could be created has already been created. There's nothing else that you could create. Because everything already is, right? Everything already exists right now. So, when you realize that you are the absolute self, which is nothing, it's just truth. It's truth. It's true that it's true. Which is circular, which is in a sense nothing. It's nothingness. It's just nothingness, right? And anything times zero is zero. So you could times it by 100 or million or billion or trillion. Like it's still zero. So actually nothing can be created. Like nothing can arise out of nothing. Like people think, oh, why is there something rather than nothing? Or like, but you actually don't really, like you think that this is something, but this is actually nothing. This is actually nothing already. Like nothing arose. Nothing arose. It only appears to have arisen. So, since nothing can actually be created, or nothing substantial can be made, the only way creation can happen in a sense, or can seem to happen, is through deception. Through self-deception, through appearances, suggestions, and dreams. So I'm going to repeat that again. The only way that creation can appear to happen, or can happen, or appear to happen, is through deceptions, through appearances, suggestions, and dreams, and illusions in a sense. Or hallucinations. All of these things, like what is the essence of a hallucination or an illusion or dreams? Like what they are is appearances without a substance. So like what it appears to be, like as I said, like this appears to be a phone. Like this appears to be a phone. See, if this really was a phone, like see, you don't understand because the truth, the absolute truth is formless. That's what you don't get. Like, as I said, this is actually nothing right now. This is really nothing. And the truth is formless. And actually the formlessness is available to you here now. It's just that it's been overlaid. Like it's an invisible screen. That's actually what you are right now. It's an invisible screen with no like bound or edge. But it's just that it's been overlaid with all these appearances. And you're getting trapped in the appearances on the screen. So you can't see the screen. You haven't like developed the consciousness to perceive the screen itself that the images are appearing upon. See, like if you're on the cinema, it's easy to see, there's a screen and then the characters on the screen. But imagine your whole mind was the screen. And like there actually wasn't anything other than the screen. Like how would you be able to see the screen if there's nothing other than the screen? See, there's the images on the screen, but then every single image is just another image on the screen. So like there's not like You can't point to any of the images and say that that image is the screen, because every single image is just on the screen. Like this. See, from the absolute level, yeah? From the absolute level, it's very simple. Appearances appear. See, the truth is true. Existence exists. Appearances appear. Don't they? They appear. Appearances, what are they? What do they do? Appearances are appearances, and they appear. They appear. That's what they do. Why? What is the reason? What's the mechanics? There's no mechanics. It's amechanical. There's no reason, no cause. It's acausal. It's in eternity. Appearances appear. It's not even appearing to somebody. It's not appearing to you or to me. There's just appearances, and appearances appear. So that's from the absolute. That's really the whole, like, appearances appear, full stop. That's the whole, like, story, right? But your mind's not going to be satisfied with that, so we're going to precipitate down to the dualistic level now. So we know that appearances appear. There's actually no reason why they're actually nothing other than themselves. Appearances, like, when you actually, what is an appearance? Like, this. Like, this is not a phone. What this is an appearance of a phone. That's literally what it is. Really, what you're seeing, you're like, there's like black. You're seeing black, which is black. You're seeing this like a rectangle, which is rectangular. Like, but really, there's not even a phone. Like, there's not a phone. That's like a secondary overlay through thoughts and everything, as I explained in my last video. But that's like the narration, the narration and the projection and the conclusions that you're drawing from your sensory, like, data. But see, this is not a phone. This is just an appearance. This is an appearance appearing. And then you say, oh yes, but what is an appearance? An appearance, see, on the absolute level, appearances are exactly what they appear to be, which is just an appearance. See, but the essence is not, like, when I say this is exactly what it appears to be, I'm not saying a phone. No, like this doesn't have a name. Like, this is like, this is just appearing as that. Like, that's actually what it's appearing as. It's not a phone. It's not even black. It's not even white. It's not even like anything. Like, this is exactly what it appears to be. But see, when you think, oh yes, it appears to be a phone. So when he says it's what it appears to be, he's saying it appears to be a phone, therefore it's a phone. That's not what I'm saying. This is an appearance of a phone, but it's not a phone. So, on the absolute level, things are exactly as they appear to be. Black is black. Black is black. Black is black. It is. Okay? But on the relative level, when it precipitates down and inverts down, and where we kind of experience it through a relative, like, viewpoint as sentient beings who have incarnated, things are actually never what they appear to be. Like, see, the trick is, right, that you think, right, that there's, like, I've already explained, see, you have to watch my prior videos where I've debunked materialism and all of this kind of stuff, where you think everything is made out of units, bottom up, and I actually explain how everything's made top down. Like, and it's not made out of units or whatever. But see, in a sense, you think that there's that, like, reality is made out of matter or these unit blocks, and that, for example, like, see, the whole reason why you think that there's a phone is because you think, oh yes, this, of course, it's just an appearance of a phone that's, like, maybe been, like, inverted and projected in my brain and, like, all of that stuff, but it's representing, like, what an actual phone is, and that's like these particular, like, polymers and this metal and this plastic arranged in this way, like, with cobalt and this and that created this kind of phone, you know what I'm saying? And then that's the phone. like, see, which is made out of like matter or these units or what you basically you think that this is made out of stuff. You think that this actually has substance. You think it has substance. You think that this is like anything other than appearance or an illusion. Like, what is an illusion? An illusion is just an appearance. Like, if you're looking on a screen right now, like, you think you're looking at a human. Like, you're not. You're looking at pixels on a screen. There's actually just pixels. And see, even there's not even pixels, but like, just see, like, it helps for me to communicate with someone within the dream. It helps for me to like expand, like, let's say you're on this level of the dream. It helps for me to give you an example where you expand from this level to this level. And then from there you can see, oh, like it broke out and expanded. Like, really, I want you to like go from here to completely out of the dream. But like, your mind doesn't have a reference for that yet. So like when I say, oh, look, you think you're looking at a human, but it's just pixels on the screen. Even really, there's not pixels. But see, that's still like within the dream, but like still like you can realize, all right, cool, yes. Like that's not even a human. It just looks like a human because the pixels are being arranged in a particular way. As I said, really, there's not pixels. And in this analogy, pixels are like just the substitute for matter or the units or the building blocks or whatever you think is made out of. So you think that this is made out of something. It's not made out of anything. It's just an appearance in empty space, in a vacuum. Appearance is appearing. That's it, full stop. Not like, it's appearing as a phone made out of this. No. See, that's already your secondary overlay. Your mind, your ego, the story. So, see, since nothing can be created, the only thing you can do is make an appearance of like a creation. So, and because it's in eternity, there's no process or no time. So what you can do, instead of like creating something, like getting building blocks like matter and then building it up over time. Remember, there's no time, there's no building blocks. So how can you create this world? What you can actually do is create an appearance of a world which has already been here. You know what I'm saying? And then you can create a backstory and say, that God created it, or that the laws of physics, or that, like, you know what I'm saying, a human created this building that I'm sitting in, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like, you can basically create appearance, an illusion, just an appearance right in front of you, right here and now. Like, this didn't come from anywhere. It just came out of nowhere from here. It's just here and now, an appearance before your eyes, which suggests to you, this appearance suggests to you that you are a human right now, that you came from the past, that you're made out of like flesh, which is made out of like cells, which are made out of something else, which are made out of atoms. You know what I'm saying? Or even if you don't believe that, and then you think it's made out of like energy vibrating and this and that. Like, it doesn't matter what you think it's made out of, because it's not made out of anything other than itself. See, that's the problem. That's why I keep on saying truth is absolute. And what that means is truth, it just means that it is itself. That's why I say black is black. Like, and that's why I say in the relative plane, people, if you ask them what's black, they'll say, like a color or a shade, like opposite to white. Like, and it's, you know what I'm saying? Or like the absence of light, that's like black and dark. And all this, see, they're telling you words. Like, they're trying to tell you everything that it's not, all of this kind of stuff. Like, even when I say black is black, yes, those are even still words, but really even, I shouldn't even be saying that. It's literally just full stop. Like I don't even need to say anything. Do I need to tell you that black is black? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no. Just look, it is itself. It's self-evident. The truth is self-evident. See, but it's very tricky because I'm speaking from two levels here. Like, I'm speaking from the absolute where black is black, but I'm not saying when I'm saying that, I'm not reaffirming to you, yes, that is a color opposed to white. And like, no, black is not even opposed to white. Like, black has nothing to do with white at all. In the absolute, black is just black. It has no, like everything is sovereign onto itself. Like, nothing See, within the highest level of the dream, in the peak of the dream, the peak of the relative, then as I said, everything reinforces each other. And then you have the like black, which reinforces white, and you can't have one without the other. And you have order, which reinforces chaos, and you can't have one without the other. And they codependently arise and all this stuff. Yes, like that's still true, but that's still only true within like the dream. Actually, white has no relation to black at all. At all. Like white is white. Black is black. Black is not white. They are two separate like things. So you have to realize that, see, like there's a profound link between perception and measurement. And actually what your consciousness is, and your perception, your consciousness is like always like a measurement. You're always measuring and like trying to like, you're trying to define what something is. You're trying to measure it, define what it is, and calculate like what it is, and put it in a box and just say that's what it is and measure it. It's like that. Is that many seconds, or is that big in meters, or it's this way, not that way. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's always a measurement. And measurements already, as I said, are always like codependently arising, like always like. See, this is where the quantum mechanics comes in again, where I've explained many times how the subject collapses the object. This is like in the relative plane still, where like what is being perceived is affected by the perceiver, like perceiving it. See, but the thing is that there's so many levels to this, to where that people think there's perceivers. Like, see, this is how people think the world works. They think like there's like the world, which is a like an objective thing, and then there's many subjects, and then like that subject is looking at that thing, and then that subject is looking at that thing, and it's the same thing. They're looking at different angles, and yes, they may have different different points of view, and they may see different things, but they're still kind of looking at the same thing. But then that thing like also has like a particular form of its own. That's basically the thing. Like they think, yes, like this is reality. This is one subject. That's another subject. They're looking at the same thing, and he has his opinion. He has his opinion. They might overlap. They might like contradict each other, but they're still like speaking about the same thing. And like one of them's right, or one of them's more right because one of them captured more of this. And in a sense, that's true. But where they went wrong is thinking that this exists and it has a particular form. Like they're both looking at the same thing, but this is actually just nothing. So really, what they're like, it's literally only what they're seeing is themselves. Like their own projection. Like is a. Obviously, it's obvious simple stuff like, you only see like what you want to see and stuff. But like, there's very many layers to this and like higher orders. But see, like this is gonna sound obvious, but look, for example, like actually, so I've explained to you kind of how consciousness or perception is actually a measurement, because really what you're looking at, see those two subjects, what they're looking at is actually they're looking at nothing, or they're just looking at truth. Which is true, which has no qualities or particularities or any like conditions or any kind of forms. It's formless. It's true in any condition. It's formless. You know what I'm saying? It has no quality at all. So as soon as you kind of measure nothing, like there's actually nothing, but like let's say you measure like, because remember nothing is actually the same as infinity and it has infinite potential. So really like what's happening in quantum mechanics, like when you like even that classic like philosophy question, as I've said many times, like if no one was to look at the moon, would the moon really exist? Or like if there was a tree that fell and it like made a loud noise, right? But no one was there to hear it. Like did it even make a noise? Like that whole kind of thing, right? See, like, as the subject, like what's being collapsed, what's being seen is dependent upon the subject perceiving it, and what the preconceptions that the subject has. Like you could look at the same thing, but if you already believed it was going to be this way before you saw it, then what you're going to see is going to be different to like what you may have seen otherwise if you didn't already believe that, and so on and so forth. See, and this can go on like in many different angles and many different permutations. But yeah, see, like realize, as I said, so everything you see right now, like that laptop or that screen, you think that that's a screen, but really that's, see, and I'm speaking from the relative plane now. I'm speaking from the relative plane. Because like in the absolute, as I said, there's no like screens or there's no this or that, or like there's no like objects or anything like. But see, from the relative plane now, you think that that laptop or that screen or that human like on the screen or your phone that you're looking at or your hand, like this right now, like you think when like if you look at your hand right now, you look at your hand, you think that's my hand. No, that's a measurement of your hand. That is basically a representation of your hand, like your, so to speak. See, as I said, you think that there's that there's matter that made up your hand, then you think that there's matter that made up your brain, and now you're looking at this like through your senses, and it's being computed in your brain, and then that measured it, created like a representation of it, then put it into your conscious mind so that you could perceive it. Like you think all of that's happening, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but and the fundamental thing is you need to actually get rid of the idea of atoms or stuff. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? An external world like that you're looking at. You have to actually completely undermine the physical paradigm. Then, like, you'll start to, like, you have to really be working with your direct experience. For you to even get anywhere. See, like you think that that's actually your hand, but that's just like a collapsed wave function, like a measurement of your hand. Like this is your mind's like a measurement. Like this is a measurement of like what you think the screen looks like. Like, and like every perception is a measurement, like this big, like this size as opposed to that size, this color as opposed to that color. You know what I'm saying? Like you're always measuring and calculating and seeing like what it is, and what it is, as I've explained before, because in the absolute everything is what it is. In the relative plane, everything is defined by what it isn't, to which and what degree. And it's an amalgamation of dualities. It's not just one duality, like a form. Like you can't just say, either this is black or white. You can say that, but then alright, cool, you can say it's black, but then that's not the only thing, like quality or particularity about this. Then you can say, is it square or circle or triangle? Then you can say, it's more square, it's like rectangular. Then could you say, is it big or small? Well, you know what I'm saying? Then you can say, it's relatively small. Like, but see, it's small compared to like a human or compared to a building, but then it's large in comparison to like a dust particle. You know what I'm saying? So already, see, it's always measured, code like in both ways, but the way our mind works, because it's limited as well, you can only kind of like see it one way at a time. So you can't. Yes, you can know that a phone is big or small relative to this or that, but people usually say, a phone is like small. Because like most of the objects in the world that they're referring it to, again, like they're looking at buildings, they're looking at mountains, they're looking at this and that, then they're saying, a phone is small. You know what I'm saying? But like it's also in reference to your body and all of this kind of stuff. So, but essentially I'm just trying to explain to you and show to you that everything that you're perceiving, all your perceptions, everything is actually just measurements of what you think the thing is that you're looking at, really, like the actual thing that is kind of representing. And And the problem is that you think that there's actual objects out there that it's representing, but actually it's just a blank nothing. That's actually what it is. It's a blank nothing. But you don't know that because of your insistence on the idea of matter. You know what I'm saying? And time, linear time that was created and so on. But my whole point is that it's very obvious, but the measurement, like if you are measuring something, like if you are measuring this phone and then you say, it's like 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters is not the phone. So like your measurement of a thing, or like if you say, is this black or white? Like, yes, black, but black is not the phone. You see what I'm saying? So your measurement or representation of a thing or a symbol you use to like point or indicate about a thing is never the thing itself. It's obvious, but see, everything you see right now are maps and representations and suggestions and just measurements and like replicas of what, like, see, like you're seeing, you think right now you're seeing like what a TV is, and then your brain is like creating it's basically a replica of the thing. So it's very difficult to explain because it's like it's from both levels. But see, what you really need to understand, yeah, as I've explained before, within the dream, the trick is, right, you think that there are appearances that appear the way they are, and then there are appearances that appear like that like falsely appear, like that appear in a way that's like incorrect, and like it's not actually appearing the way that it actually is, basically. So you think that there's like appearances that are like valid and invalid appearances, right? You've made that distinction. You think, yes, like, all right, cool, yeah, maybe there are some things that aren't what they seem to, like, yeah, I've heard that before, like things aren't what they seem, and but see, you still think that, yes, like most things or half of the things aren't what they seem, but there's still some things that are what they seem. But no, actually everything, there's not a single thing in existence that is what it seems to be. In fact, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't understand like what an appearance is. Like, you think that an appearance, like, you acknowledge that it's like it's a representation of the thing, but actually you still don't understand how radical it means to where the representation is never like the thing that is representing. But the problem is that you take that representation to be the thing. See, you understand that base concept, but in action, you actually still take like, see that right there, that human, see, you still think that's a human speaking, not a representation, or not pixels on a screen, or not like whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, and what you don't understand is, in fact, if right, something was like, if something was exactly what it appeared to be, it wouldn't need to appear at all. That's what you don't understand. You really need to get this point. This is actually the most, like, one of the most important things. If something was, like, if it already was what it appeared to be, it wouldn't need to appear at all. Like, why would it need to appear a certain way if it already was that way? Like, just really get it. How can something appear to be the way that it is already? How? Like, something can only appear to be like a way that it actually isn't. Do you get it? Like, something can't appear, like, you can say that person appears to be confident. Like, if they're really confident, like, you wouldn't even say that. You wouldn't even say, they appear to be confident, because saying that they appear to be confident also is co-defined by the suggestion that they may not be confident, or that they could not be confident. You know what I'm saying? That it's possible that they're not confident. Like, do you get what I'm saying? But actually, no, like, really, like Like, if big is big, big doesn't need to appear to be big. It already is big. Like, it is by itself. It doesn't need like a representation of that. And actually, that's what I'm saying. Representations are always used to deceive you, to make you think that it's this way when actually it's that way. And that's, in a sense, like the deception that the devil or these evil demonic forces that God has allowed by having the hands of the wheel, these demonic forces that will be demonic and take this monopoly, how they're going to basically control the beings below them is through these appearances that they suggest to the other. See, what you have to realize is that every viewpoint, every subject really is the self, and is actually a complete sovereign being with absolute power and sovereignty, which means when you really realize this, it basically means that you control everything. Right? There's actually nothing outside of, like, nothing happens that you don't want to happen. However, as an incarnated form, you can appear to forget that. See, what you don't understand is it's so tricky, because you have absolute power, you have absolute authority, because you are the only thing that exists. You're the only thing that's real. The self is the only thing that's true. Only the self is itself. Other is other. Other is other to itself. Like, it's kind of the classic of what I said before. Like, is. Like, is. But isn't. Therefore it is. If isn't, you could say, if isn't is, then it isn't. But if you're saying, like, if you take isn't to the absolute and isn't, then it is. See, and that's the same with other. If other is other to its, then, like, if other is other than other, then it's self. Do you realize that? If other is other than other, then that means it's self. There's only self. Self is absolute. Everything is self. Like, have you ever experienced anything that's like not yourself? Like, was there ever an experience before yourself? Or, like, is the only constant, like, the only thing that's ever remained the same in this constant flux of change and chaos, like, that you call your life or your memories or the world or whatever that happened, existence, like, everything's changing. Like, you've never experienced the same thing twice. But what's that one constant? It's the self. The truth, which is true, which is formless, that doesn't have a form. You can't say, oh yes, like, that's it, the self, or like, that's it, the self. Like, even like your chest, your chest might look different to how it looked last year, or like your thoughts. You think different thoughts than last year, or like your looks. You look different than you did 5 years ago, or even like 10 minutes ago, or even 1 second ago. I look different now. I'm in a different position. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. Otherwise, it will just be a frozen frame, and there will be no difference. There will be no contrast. There wouldn't even be. You know what I'm saying? Like, contrast is what creates. Like, everything's created through contrast. That's even what gives the illusion of time and progression, when it goes from this frame to this frame, even though they're both still frames in eternity. And the whole film has been shot. And that's why it feels scripted. It feels scripted, but it's not even completely scripted. But it's just that everything, in a sense, has, like, there's kind of the, like, people even think, you either have, like, see, really you have absolute control, but as a human, as an incarnation, you can't say you have absolute control. That's false. But then also some people go to say as a human, like, you have no control, but that's also false. It's not, like, in a sense, you have the power to choose. You really have the power to choose, but at the same time, and this may sound like it contradicts it, but it's actually not. You do have the power to choose, yet at the same time, you was always going to choose that anyway. So it allows you to have free will, because you're going to do what you're going to do anyway. So in a sense, like, it is scripted, but no one scripted it. It scripted itself. The script itself. It wrote itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, in some paradoxical way. Like, that's why you should go back to the beginning of the video. Start looking back at those, like, those pictures and those clips and those images that I was putting, and then, like, after listening to all of this, you can look back at those and then now start to like put it all back together and realize like what I'm speaking about. See, so realize that appearances by definition are not what they appear to be, and in fact, there wouldn't need to be an appearance if the thing was what it appeared to be. There wouldn't need to be an appearance because it would already be that. Yeah. Making some progress. And yeah, so just this kind of general point that inversion is basically the essence of the dream, of Maya, of the illusion, of the matrix. The essence is kind of inversion. See, you in the absolute where the truth is true, as I've explained, the existence exists, then it just flips everything. Existence doesn't exist. Or in a sense it can say, yeah, it exists, but you could not exist. See, that's the game of life and death. That's like, see, you always think like to even be alive, really, what is it to be alive? To be alive is to have something on the line. You think like all your objects, your possessions are on the line. In fact, you think your own self is on the line. You really think you could die. But that's actually false. The absolute self that you are can never die. You were never born. But see, that's the illusion. The appearance, see, even though it's never so, and appearances are never what they appear to be, that won't prevent appearances from appearing to be what they are not. Do you understand that? Even though appearances are never what they appear to be, that does not prevent appearances from appearing to be what they are not. They're persistent. That's what you have to understand. They're actually persistent. It's a persistent illusion. But then that's what's going to make you think that it's not an illusion. But really, it's still an illusion, but it's a persistent illusion. And as I said, like, if everything was what it was, it wouldn't need to appear. And that's why I'm saying the truth is absolute and it's formless. It doesn't have a form. And actually, all these forms are created through inversions and asymmetries. And it's, in a sense, going from God, or the absolute, which is formless, to the form, which is relative. Remember, all forms are relative and are defined by what they're not, or what they may not be, like what they could not be. Like, you're alive, which means that you could die. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're good, but if you make the wrong decision, you could be bad. Like, all of this kind of conditional stuff, right? And it's kind of going from uniformity to particularity. Very particular. Like, existence is uniqueness, particularity. Like, I am this way, not that way. I can't be this way. I can't be human and a car. I can't be a human and a rock. Like, no, I'm this way, particular. But the whole thing, the absolute, is uniform. It's everything at once. It's everything and nothing. So once you understand that everything is eternal, everything is absolute, there's no time, like, you can't create through time bottom up using building blocks. Like, there's no building blocks, there's no matter, no anything. Creation, like you can't create anything. So when you understand that, then you realize the only way that creation can really happen, and that's why I said magic in the beginning of the video, is that actually the essence of magic is creation through deception. And that's where I'm not going to say our magic is good or bad. That's where you can say there's black magic or white magic. And in a sense, if you really think about it, then all they're really saying is, it's a good illusion or a bad illusion. Like an illusion for a good sense, or like, you know what I'm saying, for a bad purpose or a good purpose. Obviously, you can decide for yourself if you think there's any illusions for good purposes, or like. And I'm not even going to say that there isn't, because there are enjoyable illusions. Like, you would be lying to yourself if you think that there are no enjoyable illusions. In fact, that's why most people are in the dream. That's why they're stuck, because they're enjoying their dream. They don't want to wake up. But yeah, see, once you understand that the self is absolute and sovereign, so there's nothing outside of it. And there's no other person that you can like verify with, like, is this thing I'm seeing, is it real? Like, as I explained in my past videos, like as humans, we could say, oh, like, is that tree there? And then like the other human could say, yeah, that's tree there. And then that human says that tree's there. Even if those humans don't have their own consciousnesses, even if they're just bots, it doesn't matter, because within the dream that you're dreaming of a human with other humans, then those like appearances which aren't even humans, they're just bots, like appearing to be humans, they're still going to be congruent with the dream. So in this dream with a human with other humans, there's also trees, and those other bots will say that they see it, even though they don't even have sight. But they will say that they see it, so it is congruent to me, the only subject. You are literally the only subject. So it literally only has to trick you. It doesn't have to create a million people. Like, God doesn't have to create a million people and like give him his life and him his life, and then have this force of nature like gravity, and then this thing, and then have like some infinite equation and it's calculating it all at once. No, it only has to fool one subject, which is you. If you believe it, it's real. So see, this way you have to understand there's no matter, so it can't actually build anything. It's already nothing. It's always is, it always will be. So there can't be creation. So all it can do is create these appearances, and it's always going to appear to you as the self, because you're the only thing that's real, the only thing that exists. So the appearances are happening to you. It's appearing to you, so to speak. Really, it's appearing to no one, because the self is nothing, but just so to speak, it's appearing to you, right? And see, the whole thing, this happens, like, this will help you on the relative plane as well, but also just like how the whole thing is created. It's literally all through suggestion and belief. See, when you actually accept that you're absolute and you're sovereign and you're God and you control what is true and what's not true. See, because the idea that truth is like some other thing, like, and then like I'm either aware of the truth or not, and like whether it's true or not is like dependent on like how that matter is arranged. Like, is it true that it's arranged that way, or is it true that it's arranged that way? Or, you know what I'm saying, like, is it true that he went right or that he went left, or all this like random shit, right? Like, see, that's already getting caught in the dream, in the details of particularity. The devil's in the details. Once you get stuck in the details, you're in the dream. Okay. But like, see, there's only the self and there's only appearances. There's the self and there's appearances. The appearances appear as a world that's happening, that you are within. Actually, you're not within a world. You were never born, but appearances are appearing to you that suggest that to you. See, like, even go on, I might put that in some of the clips, but even go like on like, just, I even seen some clip the other day, just a few days ago, of like some like game created by AI, and it was literally almost indistinguishable from real life, that simulation. Like, it was literally almost indistinguishable. So like, that's just like some like low level AI that's been created like for a few years. So now imagine like high level AI, and then forget just about AI. Now imagine like spiritual gods, and that like and their whole thing is creation through deception, and they can make you see anything. They can shapeshift into any form. Not just like one form, like they can shapeshift into a city or into a planet or into like multiple planets, the cosmos. They can shapeshift into that. They can shapeshift their scale, their thing. Like, all you are is just one subject. You have no form. You're just a subject. You just see. So you don't even control what you see. Like, things are appearing in front of you, right? And then, as I said, you're the arbiter of truth. So really, because nothing can be created and there's just appearances, all you can do, literally the only choice you have, is to believe the appearance or to disbelieve it. So really, you have the ultimate authority. Like, you can say yes or no. Yeah? Like, like what appears in front of you, right? But then see, it's very, like, see, that makes it seem easy and that, but then see, for example, you're already trapped. See, because you think you're like, See, already you're going to think, oh yes, like I'm like in this body perceiving out, but your body is part of the perception already. Your body is part of the appearance. Your thoughts are like couched within the appearance. So you can't even trust your body. You can't even trust your thoughts. And then, even though you are the arbiter of truth, the appearance can shapeshift into a way to where it's going to appear to you that you aren't the arbiter of truth and that you have no control and that everything's just happening to you and you're just a victim and you can't do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the appearance will appear and it's actually chaotic and it has, like, infinite ways of, like, shape-shifting and like, it almost feeds off your attention. It feeds off your attention. Like, the shapes are shifting, but see, you need to be like looking at it for it to be there. Like it can see, and actually that's when you're gonna like really get your real like spiritual gains, is when you start realizing like, wait, like if I don't even like register the world as existing, like if I don't even register my own like myself as being a human that's alive on earth, like if I don't register like things gonna be appearing, okay, allow appearances to appear. I'm not gonna be the one that's gonna like register them and say, yes, that appearance is appearing. Like if the appearance is appearing, it will appear by itself anyway. You don't need to like fucking register it and reaffirm it. You know what I'm saying? So drop all your reaffirm, like your deductions, and like if truth is true, you don't need to make it true. You don't need to like perceive, like truth will be true by itself. You don't need to make it true. You don't need to like, see, that's what I'm saying. So what you really just have to understand is that there's no higher authority than your own self. Like there's literally no higher authority than you. Everyone that you think has higher authority is because you gave it to them through your own belief. You believed in that police, like you saw that the police see, and then see, like this is a very practical thing. Oh, you see the police guy, then he's got his uniform. That's what they do. That they have the uniform. To you, you've been programmed since young. Like you see that uniform is police. Like really, you know, subconsciously that's just a human wearing a costume, like wearing like a, you know what I'm saying, in a play. Like he's just playing along as a like policeman. He's got the right like costume, the right like uniform and that. But then, see, if you was in the theatre, you could say, oh yeah, like that guy's just acting and all of that. But then when it comes to like outside of the theatre, you think that that's not acting. You think that's real life. But even that's acting. Like you saw the uniform, then you in your head, you verified to yourself. You said, yes, that guy is real police. Real. Like that's not just fake police. That's real police. He really has authority over me. See, and then you gave it to them. You know what I'm saying? So all the Matrix can do is suggest it to you, but you have to basically believe in it. You have to breathe life into it. By believing it, you make it true. By disbelieving it, you make it not true. And then you might think, all right, cool. But then if I like, and then that's why I was saying negation is so strong. But then you might think, oh, but if I negate everything, then I might even negate the truth. But that's what I'm telling you, is that the truth is absolute and you can never negate it. So you don't have to worry about that. Actually negate everything. Use skepticism, undermine everything. Because all you're going to undermine are the illusions that you used to believe in. Because the truth can't be undermined. So what you're going to be left with, that's what's going to be true. So don't worry about losing the truth or being too skeptical that I even missed the truth. Like, no. Be very skeptical. Be skeptical of everything you see. Be skeptical of me. Be skeptical of him. Be skeptical of her. Be skeptical of your own thoughts. That thought that you thought, that thought that you thought was like a demon. Like if you think, oh, that was a demon thought, or nah, that was my thought, or that guy's a good guy. He's enlightened. He's trying to help me get enlightened, and now that guy's like some demon, like trying to put me deep in a dream. Like, don't trust any of it. Your own conclusions, your own, like, anything. Everything is just an appearance. Really realize everything is an appearance. See, the problem is, that from your perspective as a human who's incarnated, which is held within the appearance, like that's just like a sub-holon within the appearance. Like the appearance has layers and like it's a holography. Like it's in a holographic appearance. See, because it's very high. Like I'm not just saying this is some small illusion. Like you might think, see, because you're used to thinking, oh, when I wake up, like that was a dream. See, even your dream in that low level like illusion, you didn't even know that you were dreaming. But then imagine high level dreams. That's what I'm saying with the AI. You're seeing like the simulations, like its ability to simulate. It keeps on getting higher and higher. So now imagine the game master of simulations, like the absolute, like the simulation king. Like imagine being trapped in a simulation from the simulation king. Like the simulator that's so strong that it can even like it can trap God in the simulations, like temporarily. See, that's actually what's happening. God, in a sense, like created the simulator, which is the devil. The devil is basically the simulator, and he basically told the devil to create the highest level game that would like even be able to deceive God, which is all knowing. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically kind of what happened. But then see the highest, and then what it did was it created an appearance to make even God think that it's no longer all knowing, and that it's even schismed from its own knowledge. So now it's forgot, but actually it hasn't forgot. It's just appeared to have forgot. But then you believe in it and make it true. See, so that's why you actually need to start like stop investing in the dream. You're actually investing. Remember, attention. That's what I said. It basically feeds off your attention. The more you pay attention into it, like the stronger it gets, and the more realer the appearances seem. But the more you basically withdraw your attention back onto itself, and you just are only aware of awareness. Like you're never externalized. You're never looking out. You're only onto itself. Then like it actually loses energy and it falls away by itself. That's what I was saying. You actually have to practice meditation and realize, oh wait, I don't need to look at something for it to be true. I don't need to verify it and register it. Don't register anything. If it's there, it's there. If it's not there, it's not there. And then you'll be surprised when you see how much stuff starts to fall away and how much was just an illusion that you was holding up with your ultimate power. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Obviously, this is also like a bit of an anthropomorphization of it, but you almost have to kind of imagine that everything you're seeing could be like the devil, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really trust any appearance that you're seeing. Because it could be, like, you have to kind of see that every appearance is either, like, in a sense, is either to wake you up or to put you to sleep. But most of them are really to put you back to sleep. Because your natural inclination is to wake up, but like by definition. So really, every appearance has to kind of be like it's like imagine you're starting from here, you're trying to go to here, and your natural inclination is to float in the stream. So everything else is actually going to be like a counter to that. There's a counter to that just to kind of keep you in the same place. Because if there was even things like helping you, then you would just like win like easily, if you get what I'm saying. So kind of everything has to counter. But then the problem is that you think that like things that are countering you are helping you. You think, there's some things countering me, some things helping. Like, no, like even the things that you think are helping you, like that, and that's even like the higher order traps, basically. When you start thinking, that guy's actually, like all these other guys are Matrix agents, only him, like he's enlightened, let me listen to him. And then the Matrix is going to use him to trick you. It's going to like, it starts getting, like that more conscious you get, the harder level it gets. The more it starts tricking you. You might start thinking the higher level you get, the easier it is to see through it. And it is true, you see through it easier, and you definitely see through the things that even are trapping the lower level guys. You see through that easily, but then like it's like the demons start attacking you more because they're thinking, like if we don't like control him, then he's gonna break through, like he's gonna actually escape. So they send like you basically get put into maximum security, like simulation prison. Like the higher like consciousness you get, like you get the simulations get chat until like, you know what I'm saying. So I feel like maybe if you basically reach such a high level of consciousness that you either just leave this body or you die. Like if you basically like physically die and you're at that high state of consciousness, then I feel like you could transcend the whole dream from there. If you no longer kind of buy into that cycle of desire, and this also links in with desire, that desire video that I released earlier as well. And that's another thing, is that even the appearances are going to be some things that you desire, some things that you don't desire. And see, there's going to be some appearances that you won't want to admit to yourself that it's only an appearance because you desire it to be true. I know you've experienced this yourself where there was things that you knew was false, but you wanted it to be true. And it took you a lot longer to even admit that it was wrong because you wanted it to be true, even though you already knew it wasn't. See, even just like there's all kinds of clues in the Matrix. Too good to be true. That's like, see, like literally when something's too good to be true, it's too good to be true because actually the Matrix isn't like good. It's not good or bad, but like you can't think that like it's like it's good. Like good things are happening to me, like for me. It's happening for me. Like it's not necessarily really happening for you. Like it could also be happening against you, but you know what I'm saying? So you have to really not trust like what you see. Even though I always say that use your direct experience as that, like really direct experience is king. Direct experience, the here now moment, that's all there is. That's all you can use. And that's still true. But even that, see, you have to use your here now moment, direct experience, because that's all that exists. But at the same time, what you see here now, you can't really trust either. Like you can trust that it's here now. That's really what you can trust. That is absolutely true. It is true. This here now moment is absolutely true. But what it appears to be is false. It's true. It's true that it's true. But when you're saying it's true that it's true that I'm a human, or it's true that I'm alive as opposed to dead, see, that was already a step too far. Like those, like it's the truth and absolute is always primary. Every time you go secondary or tertiary and start making like deductions and then, this, therefore that, like no, you already went too far into the dream. You have to collapse all the way back to truth is true, full stop. Not therefore anything else. No, not therefore anything else. The truth is true, full stop. Yeah, so the problem, again, I've explained this many times, but as I said, because in the dream, there's multiple layers as well. And then, see, let's say you're on this level and then there's layers outside and layers outside. And awakening or self-realization, so awakening is kind of like expanding from this dream to this dream to this dream to this dream and like expanding your dream further and further and seeing more. But then like self-realization, when you really pop out, is like seeing through all the dreams, because actually you can't escape by just keep on expanding because there's infinite more like layers. So really you have to do a quantum leap, like not outside because really you're just going back to the center point, but you have to just kind of quantum leap past all the dreams at once. And where people go wrong is they think that like they basically they think what are actually just the higher levels of the dream. They think that those higher levels of the dream are actually reality. Like they basically think that they are like in the Matrix in these levels of dream, but if they basically escape to that outside layer, then that's going to be the truth. Basically, so they think that the higher levels of the dream are the truth, but even those levels aren't. And see, basically, the problem is that there's nothing to compare it against. Everything that you've experienced as an incarnated, limited being is an appearance, is like part of the dream, is an illusion, basically. So you've never ever seen something that's not an illusion. So that's why it's so hard for you to see like that it's an illusion, because you're a fish in the sea. Like, if there was something you could say, that's an illusion and that's not, then you could compare. But like literally everything you see is an illusion, so you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So really the only thing that actually isn't the illusion is yourself, your real self. that doesn't have a form. So that's the only thing that you can really anchor to. But see, that real self isn't actually in the dream. See, you have basically a player character, your ego form that you think you are. That is trapped in the dream. Your player character is trapped in the dream. But and you can almost imagine like it's attached like with like this imaginary like this string basically. And then see, really your absolute, as I explained before, your absolute real self is not in the dream. Then the dream's like there, and the dream kind of captures like your micro self that you've incarnated as. But yeah, see, everything that micro self, like this human self right now, like has seen is an illusion. So nothing that it can't compare against and think, oh, like this is the dream and this isn't, like, because everything that is seen is the illusion, including itself. So you have to basically completely collapse the dream. Like you can't like identify or subscribe to anything at all. Any attachment, any thinking that is this way as opposed to that way or this or that, like you're trapped. You're trapped. So yeah, you have to really drop that particularity. You have to kind of drop complexity. That's another thing. The dream is basically, see, because from the absolute, it's just basically one. One is equal to one. And then the dream is basically complexity. Infinite multiples of that. And then it like divides and it multiplies and there's all kinds of amalgamations of forms. But really, like you have to just come back to simplicity. So you have to go from form to formlessness, from particularity to uniformity, from complexity to simpleness. You know what I'm saying? You have to kind of just revert back to the simple truth. Because that's the only thing that's basically, in a sense, outside of the appearance. Or really that the appearance is appearing within. And yeah, you have to realize as well, like looking back at those clips and stuff that I put in as well, that look at those optical illusions and all those things and realize that actually the way a lot of them are created are through like kind of different perspectives and also like content and context. So like if your context is wrong, then what you derive or what you like imply of like the content will be wrong always, basically, if your context is wrong. You know what I'm saying? So like manipulating the context, manipulating the content. So even manipulation of the context or the content, all this stuff, that's basically how these forms, how these dreams get created. Like that's in a sense the ego. The ego, like you are the self. Like you realize that you exist right now, but see where what's wrong is your context is completely wrong. You think that this existence is like within a human, like this is a human being alive. Like no, you're literally the universe being you're literally truth being true. That's literally what you are. Your existence existing. You're not a human. But see, your context is all wrong. You think you're a human. You think you're on Earth made of atoms. So that's why you think, you know what I'm saying, that this is a phone also made of atoms, made out of this material that was dug out of the Earth or whatever. Like, no, like, you're not even on Earth. Like, you're literally in the middle of nowhere. But yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. That was pretty in-depth. Might listen back to it, and if there's any extra points, then I'll fill those in. But yeah, I hope that helped you guys out. And yeah.